Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm your presenter Bashir Blenman on another episode of Have Your Say, and today we're going to talk about something that is affecting all of us. It's the fitna of music. So whether we still listen to it now or we used to listen to it or whatever, it's always going to be a fitna because like we know, like we don't forget everything. And you know, it's something that is destroying the youth, it's destroying the elders, it's destroying everyone. This whole issue of music. You know, what we can do to fight this ill. But inshallah, we're going to talk about the problems and some solutions, inshallah.
Sure.
First, our guest, Assalamu alaikum, Brother Musa. How you doing?
Alhamdulillah, I'm good. Yeah,
Nice to meet you, brother. How you doing? Assalamu alaikum. Introduce yourself, please, brother.
My name is Asad.
Inshallah, this is not a big issue for us now. Inshallah, it's not a big issue. But it's always going to be an issue. It depends how big of an issue we make it. So what do you think are the effects of music, especially with the Muslims? What are the effects?
With music, the biggest problem that we find with music, like anything, is that music in itself has to have a message and it has to be kind of shining something out. It's always portraying an individual in terms of what they have in their heart and what's on their mind. And something that goes out to the masses, you know, telling an individual story or a collective story of a community where they are at the time has an effect on the person that listens to it. So we see that we have different genres of music, whether it's like R&B, whether it's rap, whether it's rock and roll, and they're all representing different parts of society and where the people are at the time when they're making that music. So when we look at the youth now in terms of the type of music that they listen to, depending on where they are in their lives and what they're doing in their lives, you tend to see what type of music they listen to. You know, you find that a man that's like on this girl thing and boyfriends and things like that, he's listening to an R&B and he's trying to find a way how he's going to, you know, sweet up a girl or something like that. Or you find the boys that we find that on the roads that are doing selling the drugs and the gangbanging, they listen to a type of rap or something like that. And we just find those like the type of people that just do those festivals and take mad drugs and listen to rock and roll and things like that. So in terms of the message that music sends is one of the biggest problems that we have in terms of not even going into it, is it halal, is it haram? Just concentrating on the message and how it affects the youth, I think it's a big problem, man. Especially dealing with popular culture, what rap falls into, and that's the main type of music that we find affecting many of our youth. There's not any type of message that rap pushes that has any type of benefit, you know, for our youth to be listening to. So you find that our youth are being led down the road of characters and individuals that are, you know, are coming from backgrounds of drug dealers, of pimps and hustlers, and these are the type of people that are making that type of music.
But you're saying something interesting because, like I said, this is something that we understand. But the other side of this is the issue now, and I will come back to it, inshallah. But what do you think on this as well? What do you think the main effects that it's having on the Muslim?
The main effects having on a Muslim is they're forgetting their real background. As in they listen to what the rapper's got to say, they take that on board and they say to themselves, okay, look, why can't I be like them? Why do I have to be like this? Like, because they've been indulged into the music so much, they begin to form a mentality of where, okay, tomorrow I'm going to go out, I'm going to wear this clothes, I'm going to wear that, I'm going to drive this car, I'm going to have this girl, I'm going to do this to get my money. They have that mentality where, why can't I be like them? So obviously the rappers, they portray a message of like, they basically talk about how they feel, what they do and stuff. That's going to bring a very big impact onto the youth. They're going to think, okay, look, I want to be like that.
No, definitely, because the point I was making is that we have a big influx of so-called Muslim rappers now. Yeah, that think they're being positive and think that it's okay to rap and to do actual music, not even like without instruments. I'm saying actual music, but they think that it's okay because it's Islamic or it's quote unquote positive. Yeah. But do we think that, like I say, do we think there's a negative effect of this? Because as far as a lot of people are concerned, there's nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with being a rapper that does it on actual music as well, as long as the message is positive. But do we think that there's an issue with this as well? Would you? Because like we know, it depends what opinion you go by. But the general opinion is that music is haram, full stop. Yeah, but like you say, like there's issues now with difference of opinions and whatnot, and people think that it's okay just as long as the message is positive, or it's an Islamic message. But do you think there's a negative aspect of of this as well? Would you think, man?
To be honest, like you said, the Muslim artists, they're bringing in like Islamic verses or what, or just talking about Islam whilst they're making the music video. In a way, if I was to come out of music and start listening to this music, because the instruments, everything is the same as the one that I came out of, I'm gonna be influenced. Okay, look, I'm listening to this. Let me just click onto that video quick time, just have a little listen, then come back to this. Yeah. So it'll come back in a way because the rhythm and the beats, everything is kind of the same, but the message obviously is different. It's a better message than that, but the backing, the music, the beat and everything can...
It's still a negative effect.
Still have a big impact.
What do you think, Brother Musa?
Yeah, I was interested to hear what the young brother had to say. Being that, you know, we're from a different era altogether in terms of the music, and this new type of music, this new wave of Muslims, you know, getting on instrumentals from so-called famous rappers and turning them into Islamic tunes, we find that this has a big problem in terms of that nasheeds and people that have been doing poetry and things like that have always been trying to be a stepping stone to get people into embracing their Islam in terms of learning their deen, learning their Quran, and just striving to be in a better situation altogether. It hasn't been something that you stick with. They've always been trying to get you to a certain place. But I feel like with this type of, you know, music that they're doing, they're just grabbing you and keeping you there. They're not trying to make you progress onto your deen and get into a better position. They're just trying to get you, keep you there, and create an entertainment which is not in our deen. You know, they're trying to create a new genre of entertainment which can become mainstream. You know, it can easily in the next 5 to 10 years, we find that there's a genre called Islamic music or Islamic rap. Now that becomes an avenue for our youth to think that this is a way for me to go. You know, I can become famous, I can become somebody in society, I can earn a halal income by just having the ambitions and dreams of being an Islamic rapper or, you know, something like that, which we don't really have in our, you know, in our communities right now.
So when it comes to these situations, what I think the main issue is that if you're doing this as something to do with your desires, like it's something you just can't let go of making music, you enjoy making music, then it's one thing. But to use it as something for the sake of Allah and to call people to the deen with, like we know, every action has to meet 2 conditions. Has to be upon sincerity and it has to be upon the sunnah. So what I can gather what's happening is that a lot of these people are doing these things for no reason, to be honest, anyway, because it's not meeting the 2 conditions. Things have to meet 2 conditions, and like I say, if you're not meeting these conditions, then like we know it will be rejected. So we won't go into that too much. We'll come away from that.
But it's an important aspect. It's
very important. No, of course, it's very important. But like we say, with the situation is that one thing I do believe is that some people are entitled to their stepping stones.
Because why I would like to cut you in quickly and say that it's an important aspect is that when we're advising the youth in terms of not going down that avenue, you find that a person might say they fit the first category where they're sincere in what they're doing, but they're not following the sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so it negates what they're doing in the first place. But their sincerity and their actions that they're carrying out, they're now doing it in the public. Whereas somebody that might have been doing this before the age of social media, it wouldn't have affected as much people as it is doing today. So now a person comes on, starts doing his music, whatever, puts it out online, and then you're trying to advise him in the open because he's doing action in the open. You know, you've tried to go behind closed doors, but you can't. But you find that the majority of people or the youth that are following this type of wave are quick to defend his actions based upon he's sincere, he's trying to guide, his lyrics are nice, and they get this understanding of him being sincere because of the words that he's saying. So he's talking about the Quran, or they talk about, you know, the Prophet's wives and sisters being like them. So they're saying, look, these brothers are sincere, they're trying to guide us back to the deen. What they don't understand, which is a big problem, is the sunnah of the Prophet. Yeah, they don't meet the 2 conditions, and the sunnah has become strange.
Yeah, but like I said, that's what I said, is like, end of the day, it's a major issue. But I think one thing that we can kind of relate to and understand is that, especially you don't have to be a revert, you could be a born Muslim as well. Everyone had their stepping stones. But like I say, my issue more than anything, and I think it should be all of our issues, is that we still have to be able to differentiate between what's right and wrong. If you're doing something wrong, you should at least know what you're doing is wrong and know that it's a stepping stone, it's something that you're trying to get out of. The biggest problem is that, like I say, they're making the haram halal. This is the biggest problem. I think this is one of the causes for a lot of our changes, is that even if we did the wrong thing, we kind of knew it was wrong, and we kind of begged Allah to maybe remove it from us. And that's why eventually he done it. The biggest issue and the thing that I fear for the youth now is that we've come to an age where they think the haram is halal. So there's no tawbah, there's no refuge from Allah, there's nothing. Then, like I say, they're stuck in this mentality where what they're doing is okay. And like we know, even an alcoholic has to profess that he's an alcoholic before he can leave it. We know this from drug use. They have to actually say, I am an alcoholic, I am a drug taker, and then they can rectify the issue. If they don't rectify this issue and understand that it is actually a big problem, then, like I say, it's going to be a long lasting problem. But like I say, we'll move on, inshallah. What do you think? What do you think is the solution? What do you think is something that the youth can they can do to kind of remove this ill from their lives in a practical sense? Because we can say Islam, and Islam is the answer. But we live in a society now where it's not an answer for people. Maybe for you it is, maybe for me it is, but for the average kid now it's like, it's not sufficient. So what can we do, inshallah?
Let's take it as for a young person who's in his teens, like 16, 17, he's going to be hooked onto music. Because, say, not everyone's brought up with the background where Islam. There's obviously going to be some slips and stuff. So, say he's into music and everything like that, and he wants to stop. Like, he doesn't feel the pleasure anymore that he feels. That, you know how people listen to music, yeah, they like it, everything like that. But sometimes it gets you where, like, what am I doing with music? Like, is it really affecting my life? It's just making stuff more, downhill. So one of the things is you can't completely stop. There's no way you can just, that's it, drop everything. Some people can, but majority of people, you can't just turn it off, that's it, khalas, finish. It's hard. So obviously I take it slowly. Like you said, the music that is into, say for example, is about drugs, robbing people, driving cars, girls, all of that. Cut that down a bit to something that's not too explicit in a way. And then from there you go on to then you can get onto something like nasheeds. And then sometimes people, they have a different opinions from nasheeds as well. But so once you're hooked onto nasheeds and stuff, like you hear, like some nasheeds, they have them beatboxing, for example, no music instruments, use of the mouth, and then from there gradually they'll jump onto the Quran, which is the best thing you can listen to. And then once they listen to the Quran, they'll feel in a way like they feel peace. Because obviously I'm not going to advise anyone to do this, but there was a point where a brother told me, he said, look, don't listen to music for a week, just stop it completely, and then listen to it after a week. And I've heard people do that, and they said it doesn't feel right. It feels disgusting because you stop doing something that's haram, that's shayateen basically, and then you bring it back into your life. It doesn't feel right. There's no peace.
Sorry, but what I believe as well, and it's a reality. I believe that music is just as addicting as drugs are, just as addictive as crack cocaine. It's the same, maybe even worse. So what I believe is that the same way a drug user or alcoholic, they have to find something to compensate this ill they have in their life. That's one of the main things that kind of help them to stay away from it. Maybe someone smokes, they start to take up the gym. Somebody drinks alcohol, they start to, they start to go walking, or they go horse riding, or they do something to kind of compensate this problem they have in their life. So do you think this is something that we have to apply with the music?
I think with the music, and one of the problems, and also looking for solutions, is that dealing with youth in general in our day-to-day work that I do, in terms of advising and working and mentoring, is that living in the West, whether it be London, Paris, New York, wherever, Madrid, is that the Muslims here in the West are surrounded by music, and they're also surrounded by a way of life which incorporates music. Being Muslim now for some 9 to 10 years and still not being able to give you an outline of what is and isn't permissible within the realm of poetry is a problem. I embraced Islam some 10 years ago, and until today I'm not able to give you a correct outline with the do's and don'ts of poetry itself, which is a form that helps many of the youth stop listening to music. Because like I was saying, and I feel like it's important that, especially living in the West, that we educate ourselves on what isn't allowed in nasheed, what isn't allowed within poetry in itself. Because if you're able to push a positive message with its pillars and its principles in what you can and can't do, then there's guidelines where people can and can't go. Like we would say that the people that are doing music today, the Islamic music, they started in a field which was permissible, and they went straight past that barrier because there wasn't a line there. It hasn't been, it's like when we look at the groups of Muslims that are doing great work in the West, this is an aspect that they haven't, concentrated on too much. So you find the youth are left to their own.
Like I say, everyone's got an opinion.
Everyone has an opinion, but we have to know that there's many opinions in Salah and where you put your hands, but it doesn't stop us from having the pillars where it takes you, where it nullifies your Salah, or it keeps it, you know what I mean? But we haven't got these pillars that show us, no, he's left the realm of poetry, because if you have an opinion which can be backed with evidence, then it doesn't matter too much in terms of what they say and don't say, as long as you have it backed with evidence, which is correct evidence.
And I'm glad you said that as well, because again, there is evidences. There are evidences, but again, we're dealing with something that is an addiction. Like you could tell someone that takes drugs that this is wrong, it's killing you, you're gonna die. You give them all the evidences, but the desires are always gonna overcome this situation. So I think this is the biggest problem, that we don't look at music for what it really is. It's something that is a real addiction. Do you understand? So when you deal with someone that has an addiction, all of their intellect, all of that goes out the window now. It's about the desires. It's about, I want to listen to it, and I'm gonna find whatever fatwa. I'm gonna go and shop. I'm gonna shop until I drop to find a fatwa that's gonna appease what I'm doing.
Because you're finding good characters and good people within the community falling into music, and again I would say is that because I can go to a community which I deem to be a strong Islamic community that pushes the principles of Islam's and the teachings and the understanding the way the companions and the Salaf did. But even within a community like that, if we pull up a subject of nasheed, where you're just going to find a man that will say, nasheed is mashup, don't listen to them thing there. And then you find another one, no, but the scholars and this and this. So it's not in terms of, okay, to me it's mashup, because I'm at a certain level of my religion, my deen and my understanding. But it's not about, it's like there's certain things, examples that we know from the deen that are permissible, but you don't have to do, or some people don't do. We know there's aspects like, example, there's many different things that from the sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ that are from his sunnah but he didn't do. In terms of, okay, they say you can discipline your children, give them a little tap here and there, but we don't have any hadith saying that the Prophet ever hit a child, but we know it's from the religious permissible and it's from his sunnah. So there's certain things that are permissible in this deen and are there to help those that need it, because not every child needs that discipline. Not every individual's going to need a nasheed. Not every individual's going to need to listen to poetry. But for those that have the knowledge and that are able to abstract the evidences for those that need to listen to it, that are correct evidences, then they should take their time out to do so. Because if I don't need it, how about for my brother that does need it? He's going through a struggle, and all I can say to him is, I don't really know about that nasheed thing. It's not helping no one, because then he's just going to follow his desires.
So basically, the company you're within is important. As in, if you've got, because say for example, I go and I start staying and chilling with people that are, say, 30 years old, 27 years old, and I'm 18, 19, I'm not going to be able to be on the same wave, because me, say for example, I just come out of music and I need that little nudge here and there where we're going to remind you of Allah, but we're on the same wavelength in a way. For example, say I go to college or something, there's always going to be Islamic society. So in a way, it's better for you to get into that society. So if you're ever going out for a little munch, if you're ever going out on the street, say just going home, whatnot, normally you go home with headphones in your ears, listen to music, have a little chat with the brothers, forget, don't give him the opportunity to put the headphones in. As in, take that away from him and talk to him about Islam, talk to him about his day-to-day life, everything, stuff like that. So the people you're within has a big effect on you as well.
Yeah, like I say, it's another, there's many topics we spoke about in the show before, and many of these issues are umbrella issues that have many other factors that come under them. But again, one thing I think the main thing that we should strive to understand as Muslims is that we're humans, we're going to sin, we have desires, and there's so many things that we want to do. But the thing that separates us from the rest of the people, inshallah, is that we know the wrong, But we beg Allah to protect us from this and to remove it from us. The biggest issue, like I say, what I'm finding is that this line has been blurred now. Like you said, there's no guidelines now. So what's happening is that people are doing wrong things, thinking it's the right thing. And this is the major issue now. Because we can talk about music for years, about issues and this, it can go on and on. But I think the main issue that I found now, what's happening that's affecting us now, is that it's actually seen as something that's okay. If it was something seen as wrong, then you can fix it over time like we all done. I knew music was wrong a long time ago. I didn't stop it straight away. But because I knew it was wrong, I took time and slowly, I stopped it. The same as you, inshallah, same as you, inshallah. But if we don't know it's wrong, then how can we make it right? How can we fix it? I'd like to thank our brothers for coming. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. Jazakallah khair. Brothers and sisters, this issue of music is something that's very serious. And we have to look at it the same way we look at bid'ah. Okay, the innovations. You will come to Allah on Yawm al-Qiyamah with mountains and mountains of bad deeds that you never made tawbah for, you never asked for forgiveness for, because you didn't know it was wrong. So we understand this situation of music is something that is wrong. But if you don't know it's wrong, then how can you make it right? So I advise you, brothers and sisters, to take the time to try to understand what is right and wrong in your religion so you could do the right thing. Some of us guys, we come from the music industry, so we know it's not easy. But, like I say, we knew it was wrong, and we asked Allah to remove it from us, and He done it. Why? Because everything is easy for Allah. So with this situation, brothers and sisters, you might be indulging in music, but if you ask Allah to remove it from you, and you take small steps to remove it from yourself, then Allah will make it easy, inshallah. Thank you for coming to another episode of Have Your Say. I'm your presenter, Bashir Blenman. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.